G'day guys, this is Outback Trekking, and in this episode I'm going to show you how to hook up the simplest dual battery system. Let's get to it.
Let's go. Dad, let's go.
So the setup I'm going for is just a simple one to start off with. I'm using the kick-ass gear with the kick-ass battery isolator, and I've already hooked up, or I've already put in my second battery around here. I didn't film me making this battery tray because it's basically one of a kind, and I don't reckon anyone else is going to do one like this. But if you do want, just put it in the comments and I'll tell you how I did it. But basically it's just mounted behind my single cab here and under the tray, out of the way, and so I can just go straight up from here and up through here somewhere into the canopy. But we'll get to that in another video. For now we're just going to wire it up and charge the battery basically. So firstly, with your isolator, you're going to want to look around your engine bay, around the battery area, where you want to place this isolator. I've seen a lot placed right next to the battery terminals here and here. Usually in these types of cars you can fit a second battery right along here, but I don't have that luxury as I have a diesel dog filter, and if I put it on this side it limits my access to my oil filter down there. So that's why my battery is down there. So I'm thinking of putting my isolator down on the back of this diesel dog little bracket here. So it's going to sit down here, if I can get it down there, out of the way, right down there. Good thing about these kick-ass battery isolators is they're nice and sealed inside, so it's not going to get into that circuit board there. I'll just give you a little gaze. See, that's all sealed. That's like a silicone sort of thing, if you can see me pressing on it. So like I said, you're going to want to find a place where to put this isolator first, so you know how you're going to arrange all your wiring to suit your needs of your vehicle. So now we can move on to starting to wire this up. Now we know where we're going to put our isolator. Also, another important tip before we start messing around with the actual power is I highly recommend taking your negative terminal off and keeping it away from your negative terminal on your battery by just putting a rag there or tying it up onto something so it's out of the way. This will just act as a safety aspect so nothing catches fire. So the first cable I'm going to run is I'm going to run this positive cable from my main battery up there in the engine bay to my auxiliary battery here, and it just goes positive to positive. Now I'm going to do something a bit extra here as a bit of protection from sticks and rocks and all that. I'm going to run mine through my chassis rail from here all the way to the front there to my engine bay, just as a little bit of protection. Now you don't have to do this, you can just run it like I've run my diff breathers and just run it up your fuel lines or whatever along the chassis. But this will just act as a little bit of protection, as I said. So okay, so I've managed to thread through that plastic rod there. Might be able to see it right there, coming out through the chassis rail there. And it's just going in through this little hole, and all you do is just push it in. Okay, so what you've seen me do there is I've just pulled most of the wire through here. I've got a little bit left hanging out. That's so we can make it up to the battery there and put it on that positive terminal up there somewhere. But yeah, the reason why I pulled most of it through on this end is because we can chop off this end if it's too long. I don't want to chop off this end because it's got this really nice fuse on the end of it. And that goes on the battery next to the auxiliary battery. So yeah, we'll thread that up through there, which is the engine bay up there. And I'm going to put some corrugated tubing around this chassis rail bit here and here, just as some more protection. Ooh, camera. Just as some more protection so it doesn't rub when it's vibrating on corrugations. And then we'll plug it into our isolator and then we can keep going. Okay, so what you've seen me done is I've just run this up so it's easy to access now. I can hook it up later when we're all done. I've run it up, got the extra cable here and got it coming up through the engine bay there. Don't mind the mess, I'm going to clean that up soon. Now, oh Jesus, some mozzies out. What you want to do is you want to cut off your cable where you want to put your isolator on. So give yourself a fair bit of cable to work with. You can always shove it back inside the chassis rail. See, there's another one there. Man, they're thick tonight. Just gonna squash that. Anyway, see, I'll cut that off and I'll put a crimp back on the edge with some heat shrink. We'll hook that up and we'll join it to the isolator. And with this one, righto, it's getting a bit dark. I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so I'm calling it a night. Probably started it a bit late, but that's alright. So what I've done is I've just tied this up around my diff breathers and cable tied it so it's not going to fall down while I'm driving. And I've done about the same down there on the second battery. I haven't hooked it up, so it's not going to be a problem. It's not going to start a fire. And I've just connected my positive terminal back together. So we'll have another crack at it tomorrow, I guess, and see how far we get. Hopefully we finish it. My problem was I was trying to drill some holes in this little bracket on the diesel dog for the isolator, but it seems to be stainless steel, which is good but bad because it's hard to drill. So might have to make a little bracket to fit something else, but I guess we'll see tomorrow, eh? G'day guys, we're back. It's been a long day. It's about 7 o'clock at the moment. So we're back here trying to do the dual battery system. Now, we got stuck yesterday on trying to fit this while doing some other stuff, but this was the main problem, this isolator. Where I was going to fit it, it's not going to work because it's stainless steel and it's hard to drill, and I'm not going to take it out of the car, which is this diesel dog filter here. So next best thing is, I'll just flip the camera around, gonna mount it in here, if you can see that, yeah, in there, like that, and so that will work hopefully. I've had to remove a relay for a light bar, but that's messy wiring anyway that we've got to fix up one day. I'll just plumb it up maybe to one of these bottom holes on here, but that's what we're going to do. So we'll start screwing that on. I'll just take screw it for now because I might hook up a little light, because you can get a little light function here with this yellow wire, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've got one tech screw in here. There's a hole here that was for the relay that we're going to utilise for another tech screw. So what we're going to do now is just going to release that from that cable tie. We're going to cut this to length, run it nice and neat up along here. We're going to connect it to where it says on here, second, if that will focus, second battery positive. So we'll connect it to this terminal here. And then we're going to run this black wire here, which is an earth. We're going to run it to the earth. Righto, so what you've just seen me do there is I've hooked up that positive battery terminal from the second battery, and I've hooked up the earth. So I just chopped the earth lead off and put a different terminal on it because the other terminal wouldn't fit on the earth bolt that I have in that car there. I mean, on the bracket there. So that's okay, it will work. I know I didn't put heat shrink on it, and I should have because now it looks funny, but that's alright. We'll get over that. And the mozzies. So many mozzies out. But I am prepared tonight. You'll see. Oh, so many regrets. Okay, so now that I've got more than enough bug spray on, we're going to hook up this cable here to the to the auxiliary battery. And basically what we're just going to do, going to run this cable behind the tray here in the chassis and just hook it up. My positive terminal is on the left side next to that strap. Might be the right side on camera, but I don't know. Anyway, it's here. The negative side's there, so we're just going to hook it up here real quick. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just hooked it up to the positive terminal from the positive wire, and I've just cable tied it here and here, so the fuse is right behind this rail on the tray here, which is good. So if I ever need to look at it, it's easily accessible, and there is plenty of lead, so if the battery wobbles around, which it shouldn't, but there is a little bit of play in the wire, so there's probably 6 inches play in the wire. So that will act as a little safety aspect, I guess. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to back to the isolator. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook this fusible link up from the positive side on my starter battery / main battery here, and I'm going to hook it up to the main battery terminal, which is this one here on the isolator, and then we can mount this up over there where we talked about. So yeah, I'll just do that now. Okay, I'm back. I've done a few things while you've been away. Well, you haven't really been away, it's been like 1 microsecond. But anyway, this is what I've done. So, I have mounted my isolator up. You'll see there's 2 tech screws down there. That's so I can take it out one day, put a little light in to tell me when it's going and not going. I'll eventually put nutserts in, which are like rivets but with a thread in them. What else have I done? I've also put a little nut and bolt there so I can mount my relay for my light bar. Again, I will tidy that all up. This wiring, it's awful. Anyway, my fusible link fuse is on top here next to my diff breathers. Nice easy access on top of all this other fuse blocks here. We have attached our positive terminal here. I went back and I have, wait, focus. I have heat shrunk the little terminal there for the negative side because I needed to take it off and thread it through it again anyway, so that's what I've done. So now all that's left is we need to hook our negative terminal back on, and we need to hook our other negative terminal on our auxiliary battery. So I'll get to that and I'll be back again. Okay, just finished hooking up that earth wire. Found the perfect place. I don't know how it worked out. I was thinking about last night where I was going to mount this earth wire, but it mounted perfectly right here on this little bracket for your park brake line. Anyway, so just run it under the battery plate there and up to your negative terminal. Haven't had a fire yet, so that is a good thing. So all we've got to do now is hook up that earth wire on the main battery and see if this car blows up or catches on fire, or I catch on fire. That will be right. Right, let's get to it. Okay, I've got my 13mm spanner here, my negative terminal, and I'm ready to hook it up. Let's hope nothing goes wrong. Shouldn't. There might be a little bit of sparking. I heard a click. That's on there. See if I can do this up one-handed while filming. Now your earth terminal is very important. You want to make sure it's done up tight. I'm going to go back after I've stopped filming this. Make sure that's done up and you should be right. Now nothing's got on fire. I did hear a click from my isolator here, so that's good, that's working. But after I've tightened this up, we're going to run the car and we're going to check both batteries are charging with a multimeter. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so to test your battery voltage, what you want to do is you want to get a multimeter and you want to click it on to DC volts, so about 20 because it's a 12 volt system. So you'll see there it's got nothing up. What you want to do is, see if I can do it one-handed, put your negative on your negative there like that and get your positive, stick him on, and you should get around 12, 13 volts. 13 is good, so my battery needs a little bit of charge. Could be on its way out too, actually. Who knows? Anyway, so when it's charging, it should be around 13.4 constantly, unless your alternator is on its way out or your battery is really bad. So I'll turn on the car and we'll see what voltage we get when she's charging. Okay, so charging, we're getting 13.8, which is really good. Good healthy alternator, good healthy battery, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going to look at the second battery, seeing what it's getting up to. Okay, so we're getting around 13.74, which is good. It means we're getting a little bit of voltage drop, not much, so I'm pretty happy with that, and it means the battery is charging, which is great. So it's all working, and now we can safely say we've got a dual battery system. So we'll go talk about it a little bit more. So basically the reason why I've set up this dual battery system here is so I can run a fridge and camp lights while out camping without having to worry about my main battery going flat. Just my auxiliary battery will go low on power. So this is a very simple system. It doesn't have solar, it doesn't have any extra batteries. It's just two simple batteries hooked up with an isolator. Now, if I wanted to hook up solar, I can, but what I'm going to have to do to allow for solar is you'll need a solar regulator or a DC to DC charger. So it gets a little bit more complicated after that. So for now, we'll stick with this simple system and we'll see how we go in the next few months while camping. So now we'll talk about our isolator. So the isolator, when the batteries get to a certain point, the isolator shuts off. So it shuts that battery off from the main battery over there, which allows you to keep the voltage in both batteries so they're both charged up. Now, the purpose of this little switch here is what they call an overdrive switch. So that allows you to flick this switch and the batteries will be connected. So that helps when you're out camping. For some reason your main battery has gone a little bit flat, so you can flick that, the batteries will connect, and that will give you enough power to hopefully get your car running. Now, if this main battery is dead flat, it won't let you do that because it's just the thickness of the wire doesn't account for that. You'll need jumper cable thickness, which we have jumper pack over here. You need this sort of thickness. So if you did run into that sort of trouble where you're dead flat, what you could do is you could get jumper cables, hook them up directly positive to your positive and your negative to your negative on your auxiliary battery, and that will get you sorted hopefully. So yeah, that's the isolator over there. Now there are tons of different isolators you can get out there, and you can get different DC to DC chargers and all that mumbo jumbo, but that's a bit complicated for my explaining. This is just a simple dual battery system for just your weekend getaway or whatever you want to call it. But so yeah, that's my simple dual battery setup, and in a future video I'll show you what I'm going to hook up in my canopy over here. I'm going to do like a little fuse board / switchboard with all my switches, Anderson plugs and 12 volt plugs and all that. So stay tuned, I guess. See you later.